Sure, hang on a second. Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome everybody to another Tuesday night of Lord Meher, and we have Marvin and Eugene hosting today as well. And we are on page number 1153. Who would like to start today?
I'll start.
Great. Thank you, Eugene.
You're welcome. Dake, Pindu, and Rustum were at the train station to receive them. Rustum had begun a fifth fast 17 days before, on the day Baba left Nasik for his tour, and he now broke it in Baba's presence. Baba first visited the women mandali at the pigeon house, where he had his meals and took a bath. He came to Gaia's Manzil at 5 p.m., and devotees flocked around him, especially the boys. After giving darshan to all, Baba went upstairs to rest and spend an hour going through the accumulated mail. Scroll, please. After his return to Nasik, the boy Biwa was added to the list of Baba's orderlies. Pilamai's son Vital was also eager to remain near Baba, and he too was allowed. Bairam and Padri returned that night from Bombay. Baba sent Rao Saheb to Bombay to see Aga Ali's father. Rao Saheb was informed that Ali was unable to return from Persia because his mother was unwilling to send him. The father also demanded some payment in advance. Rao Saheb returned to Nasik on 13 March 1930, and a telegram was sent to Ardashir in Persia, saying that if Aga Ali was not allowed to return to India, Ardashir should return. Meanwhile, the Kashmiri boy Pandit had written that he was unable to come to Nasik due to his school examinations. Pandit was sent another telegram to come as soon as his exams were over. On the 13th, the leader of the Harijans in the city came to see Baba and informed him of their resolve to go on strike against their employers because of prejudicial mistreatment. He asked for the master's advice, which Baba gave. Quote, Baba quote, hold on and continue to strike non-violently for 10 days and you will succeed. Your grievances will be met. My blessings to you. End quote. The man invited Baba to view the strike, but Baba did not promise to do so. The next day, however, when Baba was returning from a visit to Tapovan, where he had gone to celebrate the Hindu holiday Holi, he told the driver to drive past the temple where the picketers were on strike. Recognizing Baba, the strikers acclaimed him, but Baba did not get out of the car. He left after briefly viewing the scene. Baba was in severe pain due to the eruption of boils on his body, which had arisen on his return to Nasik. Walking, sitting, or reclining was difficult for him, and he had a lot of itching despite applying ointment. The boys and Mandali played Atyapatya at Tapovan, with Kaka Shahani and Dake as captains, but Baba had only watched. After his return from Tapovan at 8:30 p.m., Baba had a sudden whim to have his arti sung. The accoutrement Sandalwood, incense, and ghee, however, were not readily available, as the arti ceremony was not being performed then. So Vishnu went to the women's quarters to bring them. While waiting, Baba became upset with Vishnu's delay, and he motioned all to leave the room and stand outside. After a while, he called them back and asked, "What is the use of performing my arti if my mood is spoiled? You people pay more attention to the ingredients necessary for arti than to me. Are these things required when you are supposed to offer the arti from the innermost recesses of your heart? The things that matter for performing arti come from within the heart. If one's heart is not in it, what purpose would it serve in bringing all the necessary ingredients for arti?" His discomfort from the boils continued, which was a cause of great worry to the Mandali. As Chanji wrote, Baba suffers much from the eruptions. None can tell what all these sufferings mean or why he incurs such sufferance on himself. Anna 104 had arrived from Nagar the same day, 14 March, and requested that Baba grace the wedding of Anna's nephew in Sholapur. Rustam had gone to Bombay and he returned that night and reported to Baba. On the 16th, Shroff brought back 3 of his friends to see Baba, John Marquis, Dunjisha, and Baramji, and each was granted an individual interview. On Monday, 17 March 1930, Wasaheb scolded a boy named Ramu for some mischief and twisted the boy's nose when he did not listen. Ramu complained to Baba, who told Vishnu to twist Wasaheb's nose for breaking his order against physically reprimanding the boys. Wasaheb became very upset and that night quietly left without telling anyone and began wandering the streets. Rising early the next morning, Baba woke the Mandali and inquired the whereabouts of Wasaheb. They could not find him and informed Baba that he was missing. Baba sent Ramju and Rao Saheb to search for him. Finally, finding him at a tea shop, they brought him back, and Baba remarked, "Last night I had blisters on my tongue and lips, and I was suffering greatly because of them, but no one has any feelings for me. On the contrary, everyone tries to give me more trouble. I have to arrange things for the Mandali, as well as for all the outside persons who come to see me with their personal affairs. And on top of this, Bois behaves in this disgraceful manner with me." Go ahead, Marvin.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lord Meher book reading another Tuesday night. We have our hosts, Eugene and Marvin, on the house, and we're going to read from 1186 onwards. Thank you. Eugene?
Baba had cryptically remarked earlier, Pandit is the link in bringing Aga Ali back to me. Through my contact with Pandit, Ali will return from Persia. Tulsi was also a link, but Baba did not explain exactly how he was connected to Pandit or Aga Ali. While Vishnu and Rao Saheb were at Harvan, Baba went sightseeing in Srinagar with Chanji, Ali Akbar, and Tulsi. They walked around the city streets and bazaar. Baba spotted 2 Kashmiri boys named Rahman and Adam, whom he immediately liked and had brought back to his residence. There, Baba began cooking cabbage, and the boys were amazed to see, quote, a guru, end quote, doing such work. Baba admonished them, quote, never feel ashamed to do any useful work, end quote. The next evening, Baba went to the polo grounds and on the 27th to the Cosma Shahi Gardens, or that could be Chasma Shahi Gardens, which is watered by a mountain spring. Rao Sahib and Vishnu arrived with Pandit. After meeting with the boy for only a short while and instructing him to meditate, Baba sent him back to Harvan. The men were amazed that Baba's work with the boy was finished so quickly. Age, too, was perplexed. The significance of this contact remains a mystery, it noted. Baba had traveled thousands of miles to see Pandit, but he met with him for only 5 minutes. Apparently, this was sufficient for his work. Baba's work with children had been continuous since the days of the MEHER ashram. Of course, what the exact work was with Aga Ali, Ali Akbar, Chota Baba, Pandit, Tulsi, or other boys, no one knows. For how can age ever fathom the repercussions of the avatar's inner work? But as Baba has explained, for any inner work he does, mediums are required, and through them, his work becomes easy. In this case, the boys Baba would contact wherever he went were the medium for the inner work he was engaged in at the time. It was for this reason alone that Baba had traveled so far to Srinagar to contact Pandit. In later years, it was similarly observed that Meher Baba would travel thousands of miles to contact a single must, sitting alone in the middle of nowhere. But this was a much different phase of his work and cannot be compared to his work with the boys. Suffice to say that every phase of Baba's work is limitless, and to have a full understanding of it or to try to pinpoint any specific result is impossible. As Baba pointed out when playing Gilli Danda at Mehrabad the month before, every action of the avatar is connected with his inner work. A telegram arrived from Sampath Iyengar, saying that he was not able to find a place for Baba's seclusion in the south. Despite this disappointing news, Baba went with the group of men and boys from Srinagar to Jammu by taxi at 7 in the morning on Saturday, 28 June 1930. There were now 3 men and 3 boys as Baba's companions. Chanji, Rao Sahib, Vishnu, Ali Akbar, Tulsi, and Adam. Baba had decided to leave Rahman behind. The journey was scenic, but not pleasant because it was terribly hot, and there were so many mountainous curves that all, including Baba, felt dizzy. At 2 in the afternoon, the taxi got a flat tire. While standing under a tree, Baba surprised all by suddenly motioning to Rao Sahib to persuade Adam to go back home. Rao Sahib tried, but the unhappy boy did not want to leave. Adam was taken with them to Jammu, where he was again told to go home and given train fare. But the clever lad stealthily followed Baba's party to Sialkot, traveling in another train compartment. Baba spotted him. With much difficulty, Rao Sahib managed to persuade Adam to go back to Srinagar. Along the return journey, Tulsi was dropped off in Lahore, where the boy had originally joined the group. He also showed his unhappiness when leaving Baba. While at the railway station, Baba noticed another boy standing on the platform, and he sent Vishnu to bring him. The boy seemed thrilled to be seated next to the silent stranger. However, Baba took the boy only as far as Manmad and then sent him back to Lahore. On the train, traveling from Lahore to Amritsar, a 53-year-old Muslim man in the compartment was also visibly drawn to Baba. He kept gazing steadily at Baba, who was patting the new boy seated beside him. After some time, Baba looked straight at him and dictated through one of the mandali, "My friend, there is nothing but bliss everywhere." "Maybe for you, sir," the man replied, "but not for us." Baba answered, "You complain because you cannot see it, but I tell you, there is nothing but bliss all around. I see it. I experience it every moment." The man then said, "I have experienced nothing but misery, conflict, and suffering in the world. I have never known happiness and am quite disgusted with my life." "This is because of ignorance," Baba explained. "You have no experience of real bliss. You run after the shadow, losing the substance. You mistook happiness for eating, making money, and in pleasures and enjoyments, which are fleeting, false, and transitory. Not only that, they take you further away from the real bliss, which is everlasting." "But where can I find that bliss?" asked the man, "and how does one find it?" That is exactly the point," Baba exclaimed. "Now you are asking and desiring something real. Let your desire be only to find this bliss, to find truth, and to find God. Continuously have this longing, and you will achieve it. You will find the path to achieve it, and someone will surely show it to you." "Would you show it to me?" the man pleaded. "Would you help me?" "Certainly, with the greatest pleasure. That is what I want to do. That is my work. That is my mission. I will show you what real bliss is, only if you do as I say. And I will not tell you to do something too difficult for you. It is so easy, if you only take it to heart. I will then see to the rest. Every morning, very early, spare only 5 minutes for this. Seek a place aloof and alone and try to meditate, thinking, God is one. He is everywhere, and there is nothing but him. Do this for only 5 minutes daily. I will see that you experience something. You will see some light, and then you will be satisfied and proceed on the path. The man was visibly relieved of his misery and felt joy from meeting the master and accepting his advice. Baba's simple explanation made him experience that life was again worth living. The feeling of renewed enthusiasm for life had not been conveyed through words. It had been imparted internally. The Mandali found out that the person had tried many different spiritual austerities and was searching for a master. But after years, he had grown dejected and depressed. When he met Baba in the train, he was contemplating suicide. Baba not only saved his life, but inspired him to continue in his quest. This individual was none other than the celebrated Indian poet Muhammad Iqbal.
Footnote, Muhammad Iqbal, 1877 to 1938, was educated at Oxford. He later wrote a national song which became popular at the time of India's movement for independence from British rule. His Urdu and Persian poetry is considered among the greatest of modern times.
Amazing story. Wow.
Yeah, and if I may interject, that Baba quotes Iqbal, Muhammad Iqbal, in God Speaks. It's that wonderful little poem about life smilingly sprang up, something like that. I meant to look it up for you, but sorry, I forgot. Okay, to continue. Baba and the Mandali arrived in Ahmednagar near noon on Wednesday, 2 July 1930, and proceeded to Meherabad by Tongas. Next reader,
Thank
please, Marvin or Mona.
Marvin, go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'll read. Soon after they returned, preparations were immediately begun for Baba, Rao Seb, and Vishnu to re-enter seclusion. Pendu reported to Baba that matters at Meherabad had gone well during his absence. On July 7th, using the metaphor of an ocean, Baba gave a discourse to the Mandali on angels. He began by explaining that there is an ocean of infinitude in God. The drops in the waves, which were created in the beginning with the whim in the infinite ocean, do not pass through 7 stages of evolution as other drops do, but immediately assume the form of angels instead. These angels are in the same state for cycles and cycles, for eons and eons. They have subtle forms and are in the second heaven in the subtle plane. And we have a footnote here. Whereas angels exist in the subtle world, second heaven of the third plane, archangels exist in the mental world, the heaven of the sixth plane. They unconsciously thirst for a human form, even though they are in the highest state of happiness. But this bliss is of no use to them without full consciousness. It rarely happens, but after millions and millions of years, one angel is born as a human being in order to realize his real self. Why? In order to gain the consciousness which up to now it lacked, though it has passed numerous years in the subtle world as an angel. After an angel is born as a human being, it does not have to pass through human reincarnation, but becomes realized in that very first human birth. These angels are not born on the gross plane together, but one at a time. Therefore, from a spiritual point of view, man is far superior to angels because the angels, in spite of enjoying millions of years of bliss in heaven, have to take human form before attaining liberation. Baba sent Chanji to Madras on the 2nd to arrange a suitable place of seclusion. Chanji returned to Meherabad 4 days later, and Baba immediately sent him to Pune for certain work, after which he was to return the next day. Weary from his travels, Chanji reported that the work in Pune had not been completed satisfactorily, and Baba took him to task. Chanji pleaded, "What could I do? I am incapable of some things. I have shortcomings, weaknesses, and faults. I am unable to satisfy you. You are put to trouble because of me, and it is better that I leave you." To console Chanji, Baba spent nearly 2 hours on the 8th explaining, "Forget these thoughts. Continue to stay with me and do as I order, paying full attention to the work. Nothing more is required. The worst of sins are washed away by self-dedication to a perfect master. You may go on thinking bad thoughts 24 hours a day, but be with me and carry out my instructions. A Sadguru's furnace incinerates everything. You have a deep connection with me. So let the worst thought come, but remain with me and listen to me. It is no use going away. All your thoughts will turn to ash in my furnace of love. The 5th anniversary of Meher Baba's silence was celebrated in Meherabad on Thursday, 10th July, 1930. The master permitted the Mandali, along with his followers from Arangown and Ahmednagar, to meet him on Meherabad Hill. To celebrate the occasion, the Mandali washed Baba's feet, and Pendu performed the Arti ceremony. After distributing prasad to all, Baba ended the celebration. A telegram from Baidul in Persia was received that day, conveying the good news that he was on his way back to India with Aga Ali. Baba commented, quote, "This is the result of my 5-minute meeting with Pandit, the Kashmiri boy," end quote. Royal Sahib was sent to Bombay to the Imperial Bank of Persia to wire money to Baidul, and a few days later, Chanji was also sent to Bombay. Baba left Meherabad for Nasik on the 14th, where he stayed at Rustam's home. 4 days later, the men Mandali moved into a rented bungalow belonging to a man named Kateb. The women Mandali continued to occupy Gayas Manzil. On the 19th, Baba called Adi Sr. and Gulmai. Pointing to Adi, Baba remarked, "I will give everything to him, and then I will leave my body." Baba stayed in Nasik for more than a month. However, during this time, he kept to himself. Except for the men and women Mandali and a few close lovers, he saw no one. No outsiders were permitted. Among those infrequent visitors who did see him were Dara Hansotia from Surat, K.J. Dastur from Bombay, Mr. Garud Abdulia, Coxsaheb, Jalbai, Adi Jr., Karim, Ghani, Kakachin Korkar, Ajoba, Nadir Dastur, and Minu Pohowala. Baba made an exception when the Countess of Carrick, Ireland, Ellen Rosamond Butler, 60 years old, arrived for an audience on Thursday, 24 July, 1930. The Countess, a lifelong seeker, had read articles about Baba in the Times of India and the Occult Review. She had been in India for some months, visiting her sons and traveling to Kashmir and Agra. Baba explained to her about God realization and the path, and she was much impressed. She stayed overnight at Gayas Manzil and left the next day by train. Although Rosamond's meeting with Baba was brief, on her way back to England, she wrote to Franey, "I cannot yet put anything into words. It is quite impossible. I hardly yet realize that all that my little time with His Holiness means and will mean in the future, but that I have had a great experience, I do know, much greater than I can yet take in. But words are still impossible. And if you will convey my gratitude and respectful homage to His Holiness, I think he will understand. In fact, I know he will." During this period, Baba would, on occasion, still play cricket with the Mandali and devotees. An almost nightly game of Parcheesi was played from the 22nd using lines drawn with chalk. The game involved 84 steps, which Baba explained was symbolic of the 84 lakhs of births and deaths necessary before realization. Baba was in a good mood all day on Sunday, 3rd August, when Parcheesi was played again, and also 7 tiles and cricket. It being Sunday, Manik Ranji spent the day with Baba and the Mandali, as did Rustam and Adi Sr. Depending upon Baba's inner work, his health would undergo drastic changes. Since the 12th of June, 1930, Baba had been greatly troubled by eczema. On 9th July, Dr. Sate had given him an injection for it and applied an acid solution, but with no effect. Baba also suffered from headaches. During Baba's stay in Nasik, boils appeared on his body and began causing him much pain. On 5th August, Dr. Neela was specially called from Bombay to give Baba an injection. Of course, any doctor in Nasik could have administered the injection, but Baba was giving Neelu this opportunity of service just before his final exams. When Baba was given the injection, he explained the mysterious significance of his ailment. These boils are of a different type, one irritating, one itching, one full of pus, one very small, one very large. Why are they all so different and peculiar? The explanation is that each represents a particular country or continent. For instance, that one on my anus represents India. The other on my buttocks represents Persia, and so on. Different types according to the sanskaras of the country it represents. This means, in short, that there are no physical defects on my body.
Thank you, Marvin. Elizabeth, would you like to read next?
Okay. Tumultuous travel. Whatever physical ailments you see are due to the sanskaras taken on from the world at large, for whose benefit and welfare I work. It is similar in the case of the other Sadgurus. The Pasi Maharaj has piles. Sai Baba regularly had high fevers. I have stomach trouble, dysentery, blisters, and these boils. On Thursday, 7th August, 1930, when Ghani was visiting, Baba made these comments on future developments. Chaos will break out everywhere within the next 4 months. There will be a terrible tussle between the Hindus and Mohammedans. Nonviolence will turn into violence of a terrible sort, resulting in bloodshed throughout the country. Meanwhile, news came that Baidul, Meherabanpur, and Agar Ali were detained at the frontier and being prevented from entering India without passports. On 1st August, Baba sent this telegram to Rusi at Quetta to do all he could to help. Exert all your influence. Boys present here, most essential. Consider this my greatest service. Leave nothing undone to help them come here. Rusi sent a telegram back the following day that the group had been allowed to enter India. Baba cabled back on the 3rd. Please, you've done such a great service to me about which you have no idea and for which you have my special blessing. On 16th August 1930, Baidul arrived in Nasik with Aga Ali and Meherabanpur. Baba was very, very happy to have Ali back with him, and the boy was moved to tears in Baba's embrace. Ali had been away 10 months. Wishing a change on Wednesday, 20th August 1930, Baba left Nasik for a visit to Calcutta with Jalbai, Rao Saheb, Karim, and Aga Ali. Meanwhile, Minu Pohuwala had arranged for the men Mandali's stay in Bijapur, and all 22 of them, including those still fasting, left Nasik for Bijapur on 21st August. The Mandali were instructed by Baba to remain there until the end of October. Buaz Saheb and Chuggin were still in Panchgani, where Buaz Saheb had been in seclusion in Baba's cave in Tiger Valley since 21st June. Baba remained in Calcutta for 3 days. During this short stay, Baba took Aga Ali all over the city, to the zoo, museum, and craft market, and showed him other sites of interest. While in Calcutta, Rao Saheb was quite exhausted from arranging all this sightseeing and was also recovering from their recent trip to Kashmir, where Baba had contacted Pandit. Rao Sahab wondered moodily why Baba put him to so much trouble over these two boys. He was noticeably very upset. Baba called him and explained, there are two main things in this path for devotees or aspirants to remember. First, carry out every word of the master. Second, do not feel disgusted or depressed with the result or outcome of any work, however negative it might appear, or feel upset about any taunts of the master. For example, you did your utmost with all your heart to bring the boy Pandit to me against great odds, and though the result has turned out well from your point of view, it is not satisfactory considering all the costs, labor, and trouble incurred. You fail to understand why all of this should have been undergone. You did your best, and in your efforts underwent untold suffering. Then, on top of that, I let my arrows fly at you. I took you to task, taunted and abused you, and this has made you feel fed up. This last pricking from me drove you to desperation. That should not have been. What do you know of my pricking you with thorns in spite of all your wholehearted efforts, of which I am fully aware? How could you fathom the underlying object of my piercing you with thorns? I have special reasons for doing it, which you can never understand. You naturally think that I suffer, and that is why I taught you. But this is a great misconception on your part. I give you the opportunity to serve, and through these sharp arrows, teach you the lessons of how to serve the master. Could anyone imagine what an opportunity it is to serve me, which you are now fortunate to have? I may scold you as much as I like, but if your conscience tells you that you have done your best, then don't lose your temper, nor be depressed, however much I criticize and taunt you. These pricking words have some great motive behind them. Therefore, swallow your thoughts and suffer everything quietly. You should not be annoyed, but remain in a good mood and be cheerful, despite your brain reeling. Your very wrath shows that you still lack something in carrying out my wish. However, I may taunt, hurt, or harass you. Bear it all like a stone and be conscious only of serving me. That is what is desired. In following my orders, put up with the whims and fancies of the boys, and never think what sort of humbug is this. When you think such things, you are at fault. What you are doing is not service to the children. It is service to me. The best service you can render consists of complete obedience to me. There is a secret behind all these affronts. My bitter words contain sweetness within. So continue tolerating all unconcerned and enduring everything. Try to be happy. Be in a good mood and cheerful, even when contrary thoughts assail you. I only want this much from you. Baba's continual search for the ideal boy also bothered Rao Sahib. The Mandali were frustrated in their attempts to find such a boy because after finding so many boys, Baba sent them all back. Baba explained, behind this work of mine, there is a great mystery. Through these boys, I forge links and work for chosen Prim Ashram boys who are now away from me. I'll reread that sentence. Through these boys, I forge links and work for chosen Prim Ashram boys who are now away from me. This work of preparing certain boys is a self-imposed extra duty over and above my work of preparing the circle for realization. For that special duty, I opened ashrams for the children, prepared them, and selected a few boys. But what would happen to them after the ashram was closed? They could not just be thrown away, discarded, or set aside. Something had to be done for them once they came under my spell, Nazar. To do that, it was necessary for some of them to stay near me. The best efforts were made at the sacrifice of so much expense, time, energy, and labor to bring the boys near me. But due to the parents' or guardians' objections and other problems, they could not come to me. The cases of Aga, Ali, and Vasant are typical examples and are self-evident. Since they could not be brought to me by direct efforts with their parents, another way, an indirect way, was resorted to by calling other boys, keeping them with me, and connecting their links with those few select boys of the ashram who are physically away. This is why I spent thousands of rupees for so many boys, over and above the trouble to myself and to the Mandali. Each was kept for a few days, given good clothes, food, and even pay, but each was sent away after some days. No one could understand this. This is why all.
Rosalie, could you read next?
No one could understand this. That is why all my mandali, even the best and oldest of them, laughed at and actually ridiculed my work with these boys, which appears to them as something quite strange, even without any some meaning or substance. But my purpose was for the forging of links with the best of my selected boys who are now away from me. No one will ever be able to grasp the significance of this work, as it is universal in its aspect. I am discussing this matter with you now, but how can you know what I am doing in the universe at this very moment? To make it clearer to you, through the boy Pandit, I establish Ali's link. I did so during my first visit to Kashmir, when Pandit abruptly appeared on the scene, uncalled by me. Pandit approached me on his own with love and full devotion. He actually wished to stay with me. Although all other direct efforts of mine failed to bring Ali back from Persia, after our return from Kashmir, correspondence began with Pandit, Ali's link. Because Ali could not be brought through our direct efforts with his parents, When this failed, we tried through his indirect link of Pandit. And when contact was again made with Pandit in Kashmir during our last trip, Ali returned soon after. That is why I went to Kashmir, traveling so far, spending so much money, and wasting so much time. You feel that for such a small thing, a lot of expense was incurred. A long journey was undertaken, and all were put to trouble. But no, this was not a small thing. Because you cannot follow it, you think it is of no consequence. If you had the slightest real understanding, you would realize that this small thing was as great as raising the Himalayas. Baba's lengthy clarification quieted Rao Sahib's mind. He repented for his unbefitting attitude and sought Baba's pardon. Having already decided to leave Calcutta, Baba had sent Karim and Jalbai in advance to Nagpur to inform the Jesawala family about his planned arrival. Jalbai had a beard at the time, and Gaimai did not recognize him at first. But she was extremely joyful when Jalbai informed her that Baba was coming to stay in her home. Since meeting Meher Baba, Gaimai had been sincerely longing for the master to grace her house with his presence. Baba reached Nagpur with Rao Sahib and Aga Ali on Sunday, 24th August, 1930, and was received reverently with all love. At the time, Gaimai's son, Erich, was 14, and he and his two younger sisters, Manu, 11, and Meru, 9, were studying in school. Also living with the family was Gaimai's nephew, Daddy Karawala, who was then only 3 years old. After settling in their rooms, Baba ordered Gaimai, "You should cook my food and wash my clothes. The cook will prepare the others' food." Meanwhile, Baba called Vishnu to Nagpur from Bijapur. Baba was planning to return to southern India, and correspondence began about a planned program at the Kolhapur High School. While in Nagpur, a high government official who was a friend of the Jesawala family developed great faith in Meher Baba. His name was Jal Dunjiboy Karawala, 28, and he was to come into the beloved's intimate contact and play an important role in his future work. Jal Karawala and Gaimai's husband, Papa Jesawala, were both scheduled to leave on a brief official tour the next day, but they wanted to cancel upon Baba's arrival. Each held a high government post. Footnote. You can't hear.
My era. Jal Karawala held a high government civil servant post. Papa Jesawala was the first Indian selected for the responsible post of Chief Inspector of Boilers for the Central and Berar provinces.
Well, Baba informed them, "If you postpone your tour, I will leave. Do your duty and I will do mine. I have taken charge of this house and its sole responsibility now rests on my shoulders. So start your tour with a free mind. Papa was hesitant to leave because his nephew, Daddy, was ill. But Baba's words eased his mind, and he left with Jal Karawala. Returning after 2 days, Baba admired Papa's new car, and Papa would often take Baba for a drive in the evening. Once in Nagpur, Baba cautioned all not to disclose his identity to anyone. Gaimai asked what she should say if someone inquired who he was. Tell them that I am your elder brother, Merwan, Baba replied. Baba informed Gaimai that in the morning before Erich went to school and after returning in the afternoon, he should first meet Baba. Erich was also to have his meals with Baba. Being a teenager, Erich found this irksome and would deliberately hide and depart for school without seeing Baba. In the afternoons, Baba would stand outside in the yard by the gate, waiting to catch Erich. For the first few days, Erich was caught and had to spend the afternoon and evening playing games with Baba. On the third day, Erich was more cautious. Cycling home from school, he saw Baba from a distance and thought, there he is again. He'll spoil my evening fun. To avoid Baba, Erich quietly entered the house through the back door. After having a snack and changing clothes, he went out. Erich did not want to spend his free time being with Baba, preferring instead to participate in football matches with his school teammates. When he returned, Gaimai asked why he did not come home from school that day. Erich explained that he had been home, but snuck off to play. Gaimai scolded him. This is not good. You don't realize how blessed you are. Baba was waiting a long time for you. He is Zoroaster, she exclaimed. He is our prophet returned. Do you not know that? Although religious by nature, Erich was skeptical of what his mother said and remained unimpressed by his mother's words. Erich had more of an interest in Jesus, having attended a Roman Catholic school in Nagpur. He did not yet realize that all avatars are one and the same. Erich thought to himself, how much better it would have been if I had been born at the time of Jesus. I would love to have been by his side. Will that day ever come for me? Little did he know that Christ had heard his longing and was waiting to play with him each day. Sometimes at night, while sitting on their respective beds, Baba and Aga Ali would have fun by throwing pillows at one another. When Gaimai saw this, she was shocked and corrected Ali. Have some respect for Baba. Don't behave like this with him. Baba intervened and in turn corrected Gaimai. The boy does it to please me, and to keep my pleasure is to respect me. If, despite my telling him to do so, he did not, that would be showing disrespect for me. This sort of familiarity with Ali had its effect on Erich. It taught him to be frank and open-hearted with Baba at all times. On one occasion, Baba opened Erich's clothes trunk. He took out a shirt and pair of pants, held them up to examine them, and motioned to Gaimai. I must have clothes like this prepared for Aga Ali. Gaimai immediately sent for her tailor, a Gujarati man who was very old and partially blind. Baba himself explained to the old man about sewing clothes for Ali. And Gaimai gave him silk fabric that had been meant for Erich.
Footnote, Aga Ali needed clothes for his upcoming trip with Baba to the West, but Baba did not reveal this to anyone at the time.
We'll have the next reader. Mikhail, would you like to read next?
Okay, where do I start?
At the top.
Okay. Realizing that Baba was not speaking, the tailor asked, "Who is he and why doesn't he talk?" Gaimai replied, "He is my elder brother. Due to some throat problem, he cannot speak. All remedies have been tried, but to no avail." The old man was drawn to Baba, and hearing this, he looked sad and said, "Merwan Hait, give up these English medicines and come with me to Kathiawar, where there are very good Ayurvedic doctors."
We have a footnote. Haiti, Haite, like Sept or Sir, is a term of respect.
"Their treatment will surely cure you." Baba nodded in agreement and good-naturedly dictated, "I am going to Europe to have my throat examined. Perhaps I will be helped there." "But why go to Europe?" the tailor asked. "Listen to me and get yourself treated at Kathiawar." Baba only smiled. It was observed that Baba particularly enjoyed the old man's company. Whenever the tailor had to thread his needle, he would call out, "Merwan Hait, come and thread this needle for an old man." When Baba would do it, the tailor would burst out with Arey Ram. On one occasion, the tailor remarked, "Merwan Hait, how handsome you are, how useful you look. But see God's plane, he has deprived you of a tongue. Trust me, come with me to Kaisawar. If you begin speaking, you will be irresistible." Delighted, Baba would listen to the tailor's conversation, and the old man would purposely pull the thread from the needle just so he could call Baba and keep him near. That's how beautiful. During Baba's visit to Nagpur, Daddy was suffering with pneumonia. By the doctor's advice, he was to be given a certain medicine every 3 hours. Baba took over this duty for Gaimai and would look after Daddy himself. One night, when Gaimai was sitting by Daddy's side, she wanted to use the toilet. Standing outside the door, she was thinking, "What can I do now? No one is awake to be near Daddy." As she was having these anxious thoughts, Baba appeared and signaled to her, "You may go. I will be near Daddy. Take your time. I will stay here." Baba then sat on the bed and kept Daddy's head in his lap. This incident convinced Gaimai that Baba knew her every thought, and she was deeply taken with Baba's kindness. A few years before, when the Jeswalas had visited Meherabad, looking at Erich, Baba asked Gaimai, "What is he studying?" She told Baba, and he replied, "Why do you want him to study further? Give him to me." Without hesitating, Gaimai said, "Take him, Baba. He is yours." Taken aback by this, Papa Jeswala pleaded with Baba, "How can we give Erich to you? He is our only son." Baba only smiled in reply, later indicating to Gaimai, "Erich is my son. I will give you another." At this time in Nagpur, Gaimai was pregnant, and 2 months later, a second son named Merwan was born. On Friday, 29 August 1930, Baba left Nagpur towards the south for Kolhapur, accompanied by Aga Ali, Vishnu, Jalbai, Karim, and Rao Sahib. In Hyderabad, a custom inspector named Dalanji Beram recognized Baba and besieged him to visit his house. Baba went with him in his car, and he showed Baba the sights of Hyderabad and Secunderabad. Baba also visited the home, of a man named Palanji, then left for Kolhapur, where he remained for a week in the forest area of Tapovan. Now there's a map here, and from Calcutta to Nagpur trip, 1930, showing all arrows where Baba went in this area. From 3 to 6 September, large darshan functions were held in the Tapovan area and the Kolhapur High School anniversary celebration. Baba gave darshan to thousands of people during these programs. However, he spent most of his private time in Kolhapur with the students of the school who were very drawn to him and would not leave his side. Baba would play with them, serve them food, hear their anecdotes, and entertain them by dictating stories, both spiritual and comical. Baba would discourse to them on love, selfless service, and fulfillment of their duties in the world, thereby sowing the seed of love for God in their hearts. The officials of the high school were deeply impressed, especially Dixit, who would shed tears in Baba's presence. Baba left Kolhapur on Sunday, 7 September 1930, and arrived in Bijapur, where he met up with other members of the Mandali. Previously, on the 4th, according to Baba's instructions, Gustaji, Masaji, Nadir Shah, and Yektai broke their long fast. Only Pleader and Balatambat were instructed to continue fasting. Pleader was living in a separate room in Nasik, which he was not permitted to leave. Also, according to Baba's order, in Panchgani, Bau Sahib broke his fast on the 4th, accompanied by Shagan. He came to Bijapur on the 5th. The Mandali with Baba in Bijapur were Baidur, Balatambat, Bau Sahib, Chanji, Chagan, Gustaji, Jalbai, Masaji, Nadir Shah, Pendu, Pleader, Rao Sahib, Sailor, Sidhu, Vishnu, and Yektai. They were all living in Ajewakal Pleader's bungalow.
Thank you, Mikhail. Marvin, could we just move on to the map? Elizabeth would like to take a look at it.
Let's just keep on reading, Mona.
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
we'll do it at the end of after the recording. All right, yeah. So, sorry. Is this where we begin again? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the women Mandali were in Nasik, as were Rustam and his brother Adi Senior, Dastur, Kakabarai, Padri, Pleader, and Ramju. Only Bomanji's family was still living in Mehrabad. Every evening, people would throng to him for darshan and sing his arti. Baba would also give discourses, and many in Bijapur tasted the master's wine and felt his divine love. Meenu Puhawala had made comfortable arrangements for Baba and the Mandali, and Baba's stay there was a happy occasion. Sidhu would do the marketing and Chagan would cook for all. At the end of September, Baba visited Pune for the day, specifically to meet his brother Adi Jr., who was then studying in Deccan College. Baba asked through Janji, "How are you doing in college?" "All right," Adi replied. "Do you like it?" Adi assured him that he did and that his studies were going fine. By the manner in which Baba was questioning him, Adi knew Baba had something up his sleeve, but he did not know what. "Are you happier?" Baba pressed. Adi answered that he was. After being assured that Adi was doing all right, Baba left for Nasik. Baba traveled to Nasik for a few days on Wednesday, 1st October 1930. Soon after, however, he sent Adi Jr. a telegram informing him to come to Nasik at once. When Adi arrived, he was called alone to Baba's room. Again, Baba asked, "Are you really happy in college?" Adi assured him that he was happy. Baba then asked, "Do you really want to become a doctor?" And said, "Yes, then I'll join you and become the ashram doctor." Baba then shocked Adi with the question, "Which would you rather be, my ashram doctor or my Vivekananda?" Adi was filled with great aspirations. He remembered at the time, "I was young and gullible.
Go.
My God, I thought to be a doctor, be damned. How much better to be a Vivekananda." Adi accepted Baba's offer and was ordered to join the ashram in Nasik immediately. Adi Jr. returned to Pune and told his mother he would he was giving up his studies, dropping out of college, and going to live at Nasik. Baba had given Adi the courage he needed to face his mother, who strongly objected to the idea. There were terrific arguments between mother and son, but Adi was adamant and moved to Nasik soon afterward. Every day he kept expecting the miracle of perfection to happen. As months and years passed, he realized the role of Vivekananda had just been bathed in Bijapur. The Hindu and Muslim singers who had been coming daily to sing before the master continued to come even if Baba was absent. They would sing instead to the chair where the master sat. Baba was in Nasik for 4 days and met with all the women and men Mandali regarding his future work. He and Chanji returned to Bijapur on the 5th. Baba remained in Bijapur a few more weeks, during which time people from surrounding localities as well as devotees from as far as Pune came for his darshan. Accompanied by Chanji, Vishnu, and Jalbai, Baba spent much time searching for a place to stay in seclusion, but he did not find a suitable place in the surrounding area. On Saturday, 18th October 1930, Baba left Bijapur for Nasik with Chanji and Vishnu. After only one day, they went on to Bombay, where they stayed for 12 days at 294 Ferry Road in the apartment of Kaka Barai's sister, Banubai Confectioner, and her husband, Manekji. This was a joyful time for the master's Bombay followers, who had the opportunity of his close Sahabas after many months. Kakabarai's sister's apartment was one floor above the apartment of Alamai Katrak. Next page, please. Thank you. Alamai would come upstairs daily to cook for Baba. One day, Banubai got upset with Alamai and made her leave the kitchen. Baba saw her quietly shedding tears in the corner. He approached her and remarked, "You have a very big heart and a good head, while Banubai unfortunately has a small one of both. She has no sense, so don't let her affect you in any way. Even by sitting here, you're feeding me in a way in which Banubai could never do. Even if she cooks for me, do you really know why? Because I am hungry for love and you feed me with it." Alamai Katrak's husband, Manchesh Shah, the initials with MB, and Baba would tease him about it and remark to Alamai, "He and I are one and the same, as we both have the same initials." Finding out that Meher Baba was giving private interviews and darshan, a crowd gradually formed outside on the street. In fact, so many visitors came to see Baba at Banubai and Manekji's apartment that the landlord began objecting that the floors of his building might collapse with the weight of so many people. Not the quiet type, Alamai retorted that since they paid the rent, they could have as many guests as they liked. During these 12 days in Bombay, the master made several visits around the city to his followers' homes. Baba and the Mandali returned to Mehrabad on Sunday, 1st November. The men Mandali had returned to Mehrabad from Bijapur 10 days ahead of Baba. On 20th October 1930, Pleader too returned and was ordered to stay in seclusion in the post office building and to continue his fast on milk. He was not to move out of his room, and Sidhu was appointed to bring him milk and water, clean his commode, and see to his needs. Pleader was also prohibited from reading, writing, speaking with anyone. He would spend his days silently repeating Baba's name. In Bijapur, Baba had expressed his wish to enter seclusion. Since no suitable spot was located, Baba instructed that a cave be dug at Mehrabad. "I will sit there in seclusion, and it would be most desirable if Mandali themselves dig the cave." All the men were ready to share in the labor, but Baba selected Pendu, Jagan, Sailor, and Vishnu for the work, making Jalbai the supervisor. Mahu, would you like to read next?
Mahu, are you available? She's
This
not
is-
at her machine.
Right.
So, you know what? We'll end it here. It's about 10:52 now. We'll read from 12:03 next time, and we can have a short conversation.
Okay. I'm gonna mark that down. Oh wait, let me stop.
Yeah, I wanted to show a beautiful picture from the book at that time of Baba.
Go ahead, Rosalie.
Well,
And
you need